ladies and gentlemen, now we have picked the most comfortable place on the drop zone. We're in the middle of the Shamrock Showdown, of course. And it's not green, it's pretty colorful here.
We're taking a weather break.
It's like Caribbean. It's a weather break, yes. We're on a weather hold. And Arizona SB is taking...
We're all holding beer and it's like, we're on a weather hold.
I guess I'll be on camera later.
That's an extended.
You want to start over there?
Take two.
Anyhow, we have a few questions to Arizona Airspeed, and they have information for us. So let's talk about a little bit about things, about the competition, about online judging, about Cloud Mondials and all that kind of stuff, and about 50 3-pointers too.
Mm-hmm.
What
do you want to know?
Where do we want to begin?
We got all your answers.
Okay, so the random work, let's begin there, that you have been, we spent some time already at Paraclete. There was obviously a random sequence too, 5 super sequence, 5 random formations, and we were already impressed by then. And now by coincidence, as you know, there was another random sequence here drawn by your 8-way friends. XBG4.
Yeah.
I drew the L, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did.
credit.
Yeah, and Mikael, he did one of them. So
Oh, you're picking 17 for sure.
by coincidence, we had the random sequence outside now, outdoors. And were you happy with it?
You know what? When I tracked off, I was very happy with it. You know, it's a little bit of a trickier sequence. It could be small if you frame it small. So that's what we were focusing on right off the bat, just to keep it small. And then after like 3 pages, it kind of started getting going. But I'm gonna track the way. I was very happy with it. You know, and looking at it afterwards, you always think you could squeeze in more, but as far as for what we said before the jump, I think we executed it flawlessly. Now it's a little bit like warming up. We've done maybe 110 jumps this year, so we were coming into this meet. We were kind of cold. We haven't trained in a couple of weeks, so we felt very good about that jump from that regard. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good jump. When you look at it, the first part of it seemed sticky. I think is the best word for it. It just seems sticky in the top half of the jump. And where the improvement is there is just to get out of that sooner.
Yeah.
But like you said, dude, it's a hard sequence that we tried to engineer to get the most out of it. But that's a tricky skydive for anybody. So.
This one wasn't experimental though. You didn't do anything that you hadn't done before, like in Paraclete. So this was more or less a traditional engineering.
And if you think about it, it wasn't really all that different because we were going LK at Paraclete, right?
HL, same thing. Yeah.
HLK.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's the same sequence, but we didn't ever have that weird L on the table for our.
No, not here. But for this one, I think it's in the engineering. We decided to go with a long L or a ZL. People call it different things, but that's when the side butt is between the centers. I'm catting the point, and the tail is catting inside center. You could also take in a round L, classic L we call it, and then roll into the Q. So, and there's a few other puzzles you can take. And I feel like to do good on a jump like that, you got to be true to yourself. Look at all the options and pick the one. I think XPG4, the girls team, took a classic L and rolled the outside center into the Q. And that also has potential.
Yeah.
We just picked one that suited us at the moment. And it's like when you get as many reps as we do, Hayabusa, rhythm, you kind of develop a preference and things for you that come up over and over again. And this L seemed to be good for us, the long L. And but I also feel like L is such a dynamic formation that you can do a lot of different L's. So in the indoor meet, when we tried a different L, so L is just one of those formations that you know is very dynamic. You know.
When you're looking back now, there was a random sequence at the World Meet, the last World Meet, outdoor World Meet that we had in Australia, and Airspeed, you know, you were with Airspeed at that time, Mikhail was in a... If you compare your random work now to the time with the previous lineup and at the World Meet, we know that, you know, you had decided to do some work on the random because Hayabusa was just always ahead with the fast sequences. Yeah. If you compare that now, do you think you're on track to catch up with the Guardians?
Yeah, for sure. This lineup is a very buoyant lineup, and that talent plus the dedicated work we've been investing into random work is going to pay off for sure. Absolutely.
I feel like the previous lineup, 2018 lineup, we moved into the 2018 season week on random work. You know, you can see it round 1, 2018 World Meet. You know, our 21's are nice, but the random work, I think we had 6 busts, and then Hayabusa beat us by 1 point in raw score. And that bust is those busts, just or not, I think they're just. It just showed some of the fragility we have in our random work. And then that random sequence, we like, you know what, we're going to pick a puzzle that fits us from the World Meet, and I think we stayed true to ourselves. And when you did that, Hayabusa picked a standard puzzle, we picked a non-standard puzzle. And I don't think at the time that lineup could have beaten Hayabusa on the same puzzle. We picked the right puzzle, we had a bad exit, slow start, and then we rocked it. But like, it's too late, you know. You gotta have a complete skydive. Now I feel like this lineup is very good at random work because we have kept up from the very start the importance of random work, you know. And the block work on Airspeed has historically been very good. But also, if you compare blocks from 2010 World Meet to now, it's not a whole lot of improvements on some of the things. They are getting better, absolutely. But if you look at some of the traditional blocks, you know, some of the best of times back now 11 years ago soon, it's the same times. You know, like 10s, 22s, 18s, 11s, maybe not 18s, but 11, it's a lot of blocks that are very similar today. So how they average is keep climbing in. It's not fixing the blocks, but Airspeed historically have been very good at the blocks. So.
There was another super sequence in November in Eloy, right?
Yeah.
Two actually, one faster with block 9 and a real super sequence. Is that still on track? Like if you go from here to there?
This was a harder sequence than that, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think this was a better sequence. Because we stumbled a little bit on round 1.
Yeah.
I think that one had the potential of being a world record. I think I heard the Peanut Gallery agree on that. The fact that it could have been a world record, you know.
The one in Eloy.
Yeah, round 1. Yeah.
Yeah, this one here definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all the more impressive, you know, how you performed this, because it was really not an easy random sequence. Yeah. So cool. Airspeed on track with what when it comes to the random sequences. Now here we are. We know it's an kind of a hybrid, an online event at the same time. So people are watching it as usual. Now this time only everything comes much quicker to the audience than before. What do you think in general about? I mean, we are still in experimental emergency situation right now with the pandemic still around there, so we're doing things that we wouldn't do in the past, like judging online events and all that kind of stuff, cloud meets. Here we have a hybrid. What do you think about it? You also said earlier, you know, we want to continue. We will probably not be able. Now the weather is not perfect as we can see, we wouldn't be sitting here. We will probably not complete the meet as it looks, but you mentioned earlier that you would like to complete the meet. So, which means we have to extend somehow and invite our friends to follow our extension. Let's do that. What are your thoughts?
I think we have to do what we have to do. Competition for us, competition is crucial. Our growth depends on being able to do meets, and if that means doing more virtual events in lieu of the live events that have been canceled due to COVID, then so be it. I'm impressed and inspired by some of the work that's been going on. For example, the scoring systems, changing and getting updated to support online events like this. Taylor, you were more directly involved over there, but from what I saw, jumps were instantly getting uploaded and judged in South Africa, right? It's incredible.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for COVID, none of this would ever happen. Never.
And Dirk and Claire apparently also just made that update like a couple of days before the comp, which is amazing. So I feel like the community is adapting.
Huge kudos to them, and if you take that thought and just carry it a little bit further, right? Some people never compete because it's too expensive to go to nationals, right? That happens, right? So if these systems allow people to compete from home and compete more often, everybody wins. But anyway, so we're doing what we can to do all the meets that we can, and
let's. So this was literally the first outdoor event where that online remote judging has taken place. So it's kind of experimental, but you cannot even call it experimental because they were so well prepared that it worked just flawlessly. Not flawlessly, there are always things to fix and work on, but very, very smoothly. So there were no delays, the scores were out before you did your next round, and the videos were out when the scores were posted and all that stuff. So for the first time, I think, yes, congratulations and thanks, I would say, to In Time and Jim Rees, who worked together with them. I have to say though, and we can discuss this a little bit, I hope not that this will become, a reason for teams to stay home or at their home drop zones, and we still want meets. I personally, I want people to come to the places, but it can connect meets, and that can encourage people to compete more often and go to the nationals and all that.
Well, I get it if you're saying that maybe if you have this hybrid type of event where people, like, I understand your concern where you're like, I don't want to have a hybrid event because people might not show up. They might just, hey, you gave me the option to compete at home, so I'm going to do that. Maybe that's not something that we want to take into the future. But I do think that what we've learned is that there are a lot of teams, or a lot of potential teams out there that will compete if you give them the option to compete at home. So I think that going into the future, it's a very strong positive that we're going to have more cloud events, or that they're going to become more regular, more predominant. But I mean, our in-person events are never going anywhere, and they're still going to be hopefully even the biggest events out there. And these cloud, because when we run these cloud meets, we notice that rookie teams are the most common, are the largest group. So that tells you that we could be bringing more people into competition by making it more accessible, and then that lends into growth of USPA Nationals and all the other competitions.
Yeah, we never want, U.S. Nationals, World Cups, World Meets. They have to be live events, right? It's the stakes are too high. Again, from our perspective, the stakes are too high. We want the same weather conditions. We want the same pressure of being at an in-person event. Go rounds, clouds, whatever. We want the same judge panels judging the teams that are vying for the top spot, and so on. But as far as growing the sport, this virtual stuff is amazing.
And like the Arizona Skydiving League, have the teams come out and practice their own. And there's also one major point that Niklas made earlier, and let's talk about this again, and that's the famous round one. you brought it into the discussion earlier. You can practice. I mean, you will have a round one on an online event too if you participate. If you just do it on your home blog. So, but there is no round one experience if you're not going to a place where the competition takes place.
Well, it's round one. For us, the value. We have done 4 jumps in 8-way, 4 jumps in 4-way.
Here.
And the value here. And the value for the Shamrock Showdown for Airspeed 4-way and Airspeed XP 8-way to come here has been immense. I was more nervous on round 1 and round 2 in 8-way than I've been in years, because 8-way is somewhat new, and I mean, I feel myself very confident in it, but I haven't really competed in an event where it matters. And this is a dress rehearsal for the world meet, for that meet. But also for Airspeed, I mean, we going into the meet, this meet, we were cold. And we're always like, we're warm, we've been jogging, and I'm ready for the race. Here, we were cold in both events. No jumping for a couple of weeks, and that was new, and that was very exciting. So I feel personally that even when we did the online Mondial, we were nervous round 1, you know.
Yeah.
So, and because we knew we were going up against Rhythm and Hayabusa, and we wanted to do well. And it was the first competition in a while, which added to the nervousness. So maybe are we going to get conditioned and used to online or cloud meets? Yes. And there's nothing like sitting in a plane with your competition. There is not. The physical presence, senior competition, dirt dive, and the whole package that comes in a physical location. And you know, maybe that's the thing. You know? But I think that COVID has had a negative effect on the sport in the last year. But I think there are some changes that are very positive that we're going to take with us into the future. And doing the cloud leagues with in-time scoring, and Jim Rees pushing a judging system that's going to support that, so we can have the same panels for the top teams, or for the, you know, so we have the same standard being applied to the same round. You know, I think it's all going to work out great. You know.
Well, that's a nice wrap up actually. So let's invite again, you know, let's invite our friends internationally. It sounds like the Shamrock Showdown will be extended by a few weeks, probably into the same time frame as we had it for the Cloud Mondial, like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, because we couldn't finish it and the idea came up. So let's do it.
We're back training March 29, 30, 31-ish. So we're going to finish up the rounds then for the 4-way.
Well, maybe we're still going to get in a round or two today. So let's hope for the best, and thanks for taking the time again and for the Airspeed update.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.